So recently I published a 2-year owner review on my truck here. This is my 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. It is a gas truck. And if you didn't catch my 2-year owner review, I'll put a card up above and a link in the description below. Definitely check it out. But in that previous video, I promised I would come back and discuss the build of my truck here. After owning the truck for 2 years, are there any options that I would add to the truck or any options that I would take away? And so in today's video, I'm going to discuss those changes. Now to start out, I've got the original window sticker pulled up right here, and that way you can see what options are built on this truck. I'll throw this up on the screen, by the way, so you can follow along. But as you can see, this is a 2024 Sierra 2500 four-wheel drive crew cab. And then notice how it is the SLE as in Echo. So with GMC trucks, you've got the Pro trim, that's your base work truck essentially. And then above that, the SLE, what I've got right here. And then you've got your SLT as in Tango. And then above that, you've got the AT4, the Denali, those trim levels. And so this is basically one step above a work truck, the SLE. But this is a very well optioned SLE truck. The options that you'll find on my truck here typically are not going to be on the SLE trucks you find on a dealer lot. So let me show you the standard features first. I'm not going to go through all of these, but if you wish to pause, feel free to do so. You can see it has quite a bit of standard features right there, especially in the safety and security. I really like how GM made some changes right there. And then you can see the performance mechanical, the connectivity, technology. I think it's noteworthy that GM puts the 13.4-inch infotainment system even on the base SLE trucks, so that's really nice. But then let's go over to the options, because this is really what makes this SLE different. So you can see I got the SLE value package, and you can see all the different features that are included there. And then it also has the preferred package. Again, notice all the different features that come as part of that package. And by the way, guys, some of these different options, the way it lists it on the window sticker, some of them appear to be a la carte on the window sticker, but you're almost forced into getting some of these depending on which packages and options. Sometimes they kind of go together. But you can see I did some upgraded 20-inch wheels. I think it really proportionally fills the truck given its size as an HD truck. I think the HD Pro Safety Plus package is really nice to have there. And then I highly recommend doing the gooseneck fifth wheel package, even if you don't think you'll ever tow, because it's integrated, it's in the bed of the truck, and it's there if you ever need it. So I really like that a lot. And then you can see a couple other different options that are on the truck as well. And then in the last column, the sterling metallic, which I really like, by the way. I've gotten a lot of compliments from viewers on my truck, and they'll say, well, how do you keep your truck looking so clean and shiny? And the truth is I don't wash it and clean it as much as I would like to, but I think this color in particular, it just hides dirt, especially from a distance, and it just looks really clean and shiny. So I really like that color a lot. But you can see it does have some trailering mirrors and all-terrain tires, wheelhouse liners. Highly recommend that. I think it just looks really nice visually. And so you can see the final price right there, $67,795. Okay, so that was the original build, but here we are 2 years later. I've been using the truck as a daily driver for the last 2 years. So do I have any regrets on those options? Would I change anything? And I'll just give this tip to start things off. Before I landed on this specific build, I spent probably about a month or so on the GMC configurator online and just experimented with different trim levels, different options and packages, because like I said, sometimes you click one option, one package, and it bundles in some other options and packages that are mandatory. And so I just experimented, and across different trim levels, sometimes all that's different. So I highly recommend going on their configurator and just really spending some time on there and come back to it a week later and see if you're still happy with that particular build before you land on a specific configuration. So I'm really glad I did that. But there are some things that I would change. And so I've got the configurator pulled up, and I believe it is exactly like my particular build right here, even though it is a 2026, because again, this was 2 years back. There are a few things I would change though, and I'm going to go down to mechanical first, because that's really the first section. So under the mechanical options right here, first thing I would change, my truck has the standard 170 amp alternator. That is standard with the gas trucks. If you get the Duramax, you're gonna get the 220 amp alternator standard. But this is a gas truck, so it comes with the 170, which is sufficient for most people. But after experimenting with some DC to DC chargers, you know, for power stations, if you didn't catch those videos, I'll put a card up above if you're curious. But after experimenting with some of that technology, it really prefers a higher capacity alternator. And so I think at minimum, I would have opted for the 220 amp alternator. You can see it's only $150 extra. And I think, you know, when you're building the truck, that's the time to do it. I would do that at minimum, or check this out. They also have the dual alternator option where you get the 170 plus the 220. And I almost think I would go with that. It also gives you, or it forces you into getting the auxiliary battery as well. And so basically for about, what is that, about $500 extra essentially, you're getting a second alternator plus an auxiliary battery. And if you're gonna be doing any kind of DC to DC charging, if you're towing or you have a power station you wanna charge, or maybe you've got other accessories that are high draw, I really think having the, you know, dual alternators is a smart choice. Then another option under mechanical right here is the AutoTrack 2-speed transfer case with push button control. So this is a 4-wheel drive truck, but mine just has the standard transfer case that's manual. And with the AutoTrack for $200 more, you actually get an auto mode where it will default to 2-wheel drive, but if it senses slippage, it will then shift automatically into 4-wheel drive. And so I think for $200, that's a really nice feature to have, so I wish I could go back and add that in. Now on my original build, I selected the X31 off-road package. Basically, it's equivalent to Chevy's Z71 package, and I'm really glad I did that. But I do regret that I did not select the X31 Premium Plus Ultimate package, which gives you these nice big red recovery hooks. Actually, I just made the name of that package up. I just put these on the other day. My truck came with black recovery hooks originally, and I've always wanted a truck with red recovery hooks. So I thought, well, let's swap them out and see what it looks like. So I'm still kind of getting used to this. I'm not sure if they're gonna stay on the truck or if I'm gonna take them off and go back to the black, but it does give a little extra color on the front of the truck. Okay, so those are the main options that I would add to the truck if I could rebuild it today. I highly recommend considering those. Let me talk next about a couple things that I would remove from the build. The first one is on the interior here, the all-weather floor liners. And you can see on my build, it actually came as part of a package. So I really was forced into the floor liners, the floor mats. They're not bad. You know, it's nice if you have the bench seat configuration like I do. It goes over that center hump and it's just a nice continuous floor mat. So that is nice. But I do think there are other aftermarket floor liners that offer more coverage and protection, especially along the door sill and the wear and tear right there. And so, you know, in hindsight, I probably would just skip this option if I was permitted to and go with some aftermarket floor mats. Same thing on the assist steps. I was forced into getting the 6-inch chrome assist steps. It came as part of a package, at least back in 2024. It looks like now you might be able to get rid of it. And I was not a big fan about how big the steps were and how prominent they were on the truck. But, you know, I had them on the truck. I used them like that for about 1.5 years until I switched over to the current boards that are on my truck. And those are the Go Rhino RB20 Slim. I really think they complement the look of the truck a lot nicer, and I like how they're slim and kind of, you know, minimalistic and low profile. So I would have skipped those as well. But you know, those are the only two options I can think of that if I was building the truck all over again, I would just skip. I think I'm served better by the aftermarket sector on the steps and the mats. All the other options though, I'm really glad I went with them. I use them regularly, and I'm really thankful to have them on my truck build here. There is one more thing I want to talk about, and this would fall under the regret category. And I've landed here on the configurator for a reason, the Max Trailering Package. Now let me say something about this. If you do the Max Trailering Package, you can't do it on a gas truck. If you select this option, it's going to actually force you into a diesel, the Duramax, and that's fine if you want the diesel, but in my case, I wanted to stick with the gas. But check out what you get with the Max Trailering Package. You basically get a 3500 frame leaf springs, the rear axle, the shock package. So basically it turns your 3/4 ton truck into a 1-ton truck without getting that particular class of truck. It increases the gross vehicle weight rating. But again, if you select this particular package, it's going to force you into the Duramax diesel. So why am I talking about this? Well, at the end of the day, it's really important to decide between a 3/4 ton truck and a 1-ton truck. Now, I'm not talking about a dually necessarily. You can get a 1-ton SRW, a single rear wheel truck. And for me, I spent a lot of time initially thinking about that option. But with the gas 3/4 ton trucks, at least the way mine's configured right here, I have a very massive payload. The payload is over 3,300 pounds. To be exact, 3,314 pounds. That is the payload here on my 3/4 ton gas truck. That's based on a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,850 pounds. So those are really good, strong numbers. And 2 years ago when I was researching and planning for this truck build, that number sounded like it was just so high, something that I would never ever get to. And having over 3,300 pounds of payload, that's really good. But more recently, I've been considering a change with my RV, and most all of the RVs I'm interested in personally. I'm a weekend warrior, and so I'm interested in something that's lighter, something that's easy to use on the weekends. And most of the RVs that I've looked at would perfectly fall within those payload numbers, right? Factoring in your passengers, your weight in the truck, and then the tongue weight or the pin weight of that RV. Most of the RVs I've looked at would fall just fine within those numbers. But I will say this, some of the RVs that I've been looking at would definitely push the payload limits of this truck. And it's kind of tricky because with RVs, there's the manufacturer, tongue weight or pin weight, right, that they publish, and that's based on the, finished RV, the way it comes out of the factory. But by the time you start adding things like a battery system, full propane tanks, and then you put all your gear inside of the RV, oftentimes it's kind of like a seesaw, and a lot of that weight ends up going on the back of your truck. And so you may start out with a tongue weight or a pin weight in the case of a fifth wheel with maybe 2,000 pounds, and you think, okay, that's great. I've got 3,300 pounds of payload, 2,000 pounds of pin weight. No problem, right? But you start loading that up, and that 2,000 pound pin weight might turn into 2,700 pounds, right? And suddenly you don't have as much payload. So I think if I could go back 2 years ago, I think I would probably just opt for a 1-ton gasser. And so if I did the 1-ton gasser in my case instead of the 3/4 ton, I would have had about 700 pounds more payload. It basically takes the gross vehicle weight rating from 10,850 to 11,550. Now, some of the components on the 1-ton, the frame and other components weigh a little bit more, so it's not quite 700 pounds. But basically, it would push the payload capacity of my truck probably just under 4,000 pounds, around 3,900 to 4,000 pounds. So that is one regret. I mean, it's not that I've had to pass over potential RV prospects because of my 3/4 ton truck, because I'm just not interested in the large, giant, heavy fifth wheels. But there have been a few models where I realized that I would probably be at the payload limits of my truck. And it's always nice to have, a little bit surplus when it comes to payload. And so, having about 700 pounds more payload would be nice, because sometimes you just don't realize how much your gear adds to the weight of your truck. I mean, tools, right? A full tank of fuel, all your passengers, and all the other things that you bring along when you go camping. And so that is one thing that if I could go back, I think I would just go for the 1-ton truck, and that way I have a little bit more of a cushion when it comes to towing. Now, if I may, let me add some clarity to the 3/4 ton versus 1-ton discussion, because I don't know that I would recommend to everyone to just skip a 3/4 ton, especially a gas truck, and go straight to a 1-ton truck. I think if you're the kind of person that you're only going to be towing a travel trailer, even if it's a really large travel trailer. If that's you and you have absolutely zero interest in ever pursuing a fifth wheel down the road, then I think the 3/4 ton truck is going to serve your needs, and you're going to have, more than sufficient payload, even if you have a really large, long, and heavy travel trailer. However, if you are maybe starting out with a travel trailer and you're thinking perhaps one day you might go to a fifth wheel, even a lighter fifth wheel, I do think it would probably benefit you just to get the 1-ton truck, and it can be a single rear wheel truck, right? It can be the standard bed, just like I've got here, but with the 1-ton frame, and that way you get about 700 pounds more payload capacity, which helps with the pin weight of a fifth wheel. Because again, a lot of times those published pin weights increase dramatically once you get your truck all loaded up and the fifth wheel, the RV, all loaded up with all your personal gear. And just to give a practical real world example, about 4 years ago, I had a 1-ton dually Ram pickup truck, diesel truck, had a payload of about 5,000 pounds. And then I had a Pinnacle fifth wheel that was 42 feet long, had a gross vehicle weight rating of about 17,000 pounds. And the manufacturer advertised the pin weight coming out of the factory right around, I think it was about 3,000 pounds. And so I've got a dually, 1-ton truck, 5,000 pound payload, 3,000 pound pin weight. But by the time that fifth wheel was loaded up and had different options put on it, believe it or not, the pin weight of that fifth wheel, I was shocked the first time I weighed it, was 4,400 pounds. So it went from the 3,000 that the manufacturer had weighted at to 4,400 pounds. And so by the time I add my passengers and my tools and other things, I was practically maxed out with that 1-ton dually truck. And so that's just a practical example to share. I mean, most of the fifth wheels that I'm looking at now are smaller, lighter, right? And their pin weights are, in the 2,000 pound range unloaded. But by the time you load up that fifth wheel, not necessarily you don't have to load it up, but the time you put your stuff in there, I do think it's going to creep up there and get into the 2,500 pound range, 2,700 pound range. And that's where it starts getting a little bit tight when you factor in just your passengers and other cargo that's already in the truck. So if you think you might do a fifth wheel one day, it's always nice just to have a little bit extra payload, and I think that's where the 1-ton can really benefit you. At the same time, I also want to be clear in stating that if you have a 3/4 ton gas truck like mine here, that you can tow a fifth wheel. I like my truck a lot, and I don't plan on selling it anytime soon, and yet I do plan on making a change with the RV in the months ahead. And so I plan on showing and demonstrating in a new series how you can safely tow a fifth wheel with a 3/4 ton gas truck, and what are all the consideration and what are some helpful tools to do that successfully. And so that's a little bit of a sneak peek into the future of the channel. The other thing I do want to point out about the 3/4 ton versus 1-ton is if you're looking at inventory that's already on dealer lots, I think you're going to have a very difficult time finding not just a 1-ton gas truck, but a 1-ton gas truck that's spec'd the way you want it on dealer lots, because oftentimes you're just going to find, especially in the gas truck space, you're just going to find the 3/4 ton trucks on the dealer lot, which means you're probably going to have to special order it. And for some people, that's just not an option. Well, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. In closing, I just want to mention that the recommendations that I've shared in this video are just based on my experiences. I'd love to hear from you guys though, especially if you've been down this road. I mean, what are some options, some packages? Do you have regrets when it comes to building your 3/4 ton or 1-ton truck? So definitely leave your comments down below, and that way we can all learn from each other. As always, thanks for watching.